The ultimatum. The message arrived on a clear Wednesday morning, bypassing every security protocol on Earth, as if they were children's toys. Simultaneously on every screen across the planet, from smartphones in Tokyo to billboards in Times Square, the same face appeared. The alien was vaguely insectoid, with multifaceted eyes that reflected light like polished emeralds and mandibles that clicked rhythmically between words. People of Earth, it began in flawless English, though its mouth parts moved in patterns that had nothing to do with human speech. I am emissary Vexkel of the Hegemony Collective. Your species has been observed for 17 of your years. Your development has been deemed dangerously unpredictable. You have 30 Earth days to surrender your autonomy and accept governance under hegemony protocols. In the White House Situation Room, President Reeves gripped the edge of the conference table so hard her knuckles turned white. "What happens if we refuse?" she asked, knowing the alien couldn't hear her. As if in response, the alien continued. For reference, observe the consequence of non-compliance. The image shifted to show a rocky planet with blue-green oceans not unlike Earth. A beam of light descended from above, and where it touched, the planet's crust simply collapsed. Continents folded in on themselves like wet paper, oceans vaporized. Within minutes, a thriving world had been reduced to a cloud of debris. This was the former homeworld of the Tarlesian species, who declined our offer 7 cycles ago. The alien stated dispassionately, "We await your response." The screens went dark. For 3 days, panic gripped the planet. Religious extremists declared the end times. Riots broke out in major cities. The stock market crashed, then froze. Military forces worldwide went to their highest alert status, for all the good it would do against an enemy who could break a planet. On the 4th day, Admiral Helena Ward made a call to a remote cabin in the mountains of New Zealand. Captain Ilara Chin was 53 and had been retired for 6 years. Her black hair now had streaks of silver, but her eyes remained sharp and calculating as ever. She'd spent her career in naval intelligence, specializing in asymmetric warfare strategies, how to fight when outgunned, outmanned, and out-resourced. She was tending to her garden when the call came. "I'm not coming back," she said immediately upon answering. "They broke a planet, Ilara," Admiral Ward replied, her voice strained. "A whole damn planet." Chen closed her eyes. "I saw. We need you, not just the United States. Humanity needs you. You're the only one who's ever successfully modeled defense strategies against theoretically superior forces. My models were theoretical, Helena. This is real. They have technology that can crack a planet like an egg, which is exactly why I need you back. We have something, a project that's been under wraps for 15 years, something we reversed engineered after Roswell." Chen's eyes snapped open. "That's a myth. Come to Luna Base and see for yourself." 48 hours later, Chen stepped off a military shuttle onto the dusty surface of Earth's moon. Luna Base was officially a research station. Unofficially, it was the most secure military installation humanity had ever built, buried 2 kilometers beneath the lunar surface. Admiral Ward met her at the airlock, looking like she hadn't slept since the ultimatum. "Thank you for coming." Chen nodded tersely. "Show me what you've got." They descended into the heart of the facility, passing through 7 security checkpoints before reaching a massive underground hangar. Chen stopped dead in her tracks. The ship was unlike anything humans had officially built before. It was approximately 600 meters long, with a sleek, predatory design. Its hull was matte black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Various sections remained unfinished, with crews working frantically around the clock. "We call it the Retribution," Ward said quietly. "It's been in development since 2037, after we recovered technology from a scout ship that crashed in the Pacific." Chen walked slowly around the viewing platform, taking in the enormity of the vessel. "What's its capability?" "The propulsion system uses controlled quantum tunneling, essentially creating a fold in space that allows for effective FTL travel. Weapons include particle accelerator cannons capable of targeting with pinpoint accuracy at ranges up to 500,000 kilometers. The defensive systems. Ward hesitated. That's where we're struggling. We have shield technology, but the power requirements are enormous. How many of these do we have? Chen asked. Ward's face tightened. Just this one. And it's not finished. You need me to command it, Chen said. It wasn't a question. We need you to finish it, then command it, Ward corrected. We've assembled the best minds from every nation, old rivalries set aside in the face of extinction. But they need direction. They need someone who can think outside conventional parameters. Chen stared at the ship for a long moment. How much time do we have? 26 days. A bitter laugh escaped her. Impossible. That's what they said about the Manhattan Project, Ward countered. About the moon landing. About the Mars colony. Humans do impossible things when our backs are against the wall. Chen turned to face her old friend. I'll need complete authority. No bureaucratic obstacles, no budget constraints, no political interference. You have it. The United Nations Security Council voted unanimously this morning. You answer only to a Joint Chiefs Committee, and even they can only advise, not command. Chen took one more look at the ship, humanity's last, best hope. Then let's get to work. The next 72 hours were a blur. Chen reviewed every aspect of the Retribution's design, identifying weaknesses, suggesting improvements, and ruthlessly prioritizing what could realistically be completed in the remaining time. She slept in 3-hour bursts, directly on a cot beside the ship. The engineering team was headed by Dr. Raj Patel, formerly of CRN, who had spent a decade studying the alien propulsion system. The principles violate what we thought were immutable laws of physics, he explained to Chen as they examined holographic models of the dry system. It doesn't just move through space, it manipulates space itself. Will it work? Chen asked bluntly. Patel shrugged. Theoretically, we've successfully tested miniature versions. Scaling up is where the challenges emerge. In the weapons bay, Colonel Sarah Jackson was overseeing the installation of the particle cannons. A veteran of 3 wars, Jackson had the steady hands and calm demeanor of someone intimately familiar with death. The targeting system is precise to within 5 meters at maximum range, she reported. But the power draw is massive. We can't fire all cannons simultaneously without compromising other systems. Focus on sequential firing solutions, Chen ordered. And double the coolant systems. I'd rather fire half the cannons twice than all of them once, and then wait for them to cool down. The shield technology was being developed under Dr. Weizong, a quiet genius who had revolutionized quantum field theory before being recruited to the project. The alien shield operates by creating a phase-shifted bubble around the ship, he explained. Incoming energy or matter is redirected into a parallel dimension. How efficient is it? Chen asked. In theory, nearly perfect. In practice, Zhang grimaced. We've achieved maybe 40% of what the alien technology demonstrates, and maintaining the field requires enormous energy. Chen nodded. Keep working on it. If we can't outgun them, we need to be able to absorb at least some hits. 17 days before the deadline, they received news that chilled even Chen's pragmatic heart. The hegemony fleet had been detected entering the solar system, a full 13 days ahead of their stated deadline. They never intended to give us 30 days, Chen realized, addressing the command staff in the war room. They expected immediate surrender. When they detected our preparations, they accelerated their timetable. The Retribution isn't ready, Patel objected. The drive system is operational, but untested. The shields can maintain integrity for perhaps 20 minutes at combat stress levels. Half the weapon systems aren't properly calibrated. Chen surveyed the room, meeting each person's eyes. Then we launch with what we have. We can't fight them here, not with Earth as a backdrop. One missed shot from either side, and millions die. Where do we engage them? Asked Jackson. Chen pulled up the tactical display. Mars orbit. We'll use the planet's magnetic field to mask our approach, then strike first, hard and fast. We can't win a prolonged engagement, so we need to create maximum damage in minimum time. A suicide mission, someone murmured. Chen didn't deny it. Possibly. Probably. But if there's even a small chance of showing the hegemony that humans aren't easy prey, we take it. The room fell silent. I won't order anyone to come, Chen said quietly. This is strictly volunteer. Not a single person left the room. When the final crew manifest was drawn up, the Retribution had a complement of 320 scientists, engineers, and military personnel from 27 nations. Every person aboard knew they might never see Earth again. The launch was scheduled for 600 the next morning. That night, Chen stood alone on the observation deck, staring at the blue-green jewel of Earth hanging in the blackness. She thought of her garden, now untended, of the family she'd never started, of the peaceful retirement she'd chosen after decades of service. Having second thoughts, Admiral Ward asked, joining her. Chen shook her head. No, just saying goodbye. Ward placed a hand on her shoulder. The odds are. I know the odds, Chen interrupted. We all do. But there's something the hegemony doesn't understand about humans. What's that? Chen turned, her eyes cold and determined. We don't accept ultimatums. As the first hints of sunlight crept across the lunar surface, the Retribution broke free of its moorings, engines glowing with unearthly light as it prepared to make humanity stand against the stars. Forging the blade. The Retribution's engines hummed with barely restrained power as it pulled away from Luna Base, accelerating at a rate that would have crushed its crew without the inertial dampening fields. On the bridge, Captain Chen sat in the command chair, her posture rigid but her hands steady on the controls. Around her, the command crew worked with the focused intensity of people who knew every second counted. Main drive functioning at 84% efficiency, reported Dr. Peddle from the engineering station. She's holding together, but I wouldn't push her past 90% until we've had more time to calibrate the quantum matrix. Chen nodded. Maintain current acceleration. Tactical, what's our status on the weapon systems? Colonel Jackson studied her displays. Primary particle cannons at 76% functionality. Point defense grid online but untested. Missile launch systems operational, but we only have 48 warheads total. It'll have to do, Chen said. Communications, maintain signal blackout. If we're detected before we reach Mars, we lose our one advantage. Surprise. Lieutenant Miguel Rodriguez, their communications officer, confirmed the order. All systems silent, Captain. But we're still receiving. The hegemony fleet has passed Jupiter's orbit. 9 vessels, including what appears to be a command ship approximately 3 times the size of the others. 9 against 1, Chen mused. Better odds than I expected. Her attempt at humor drew tense smiles from the bridge crew. The journey to Mars would take 16 hours at their current speed, a testament to the revolutionary propulsion system they were using. Conventional human spacecraft would have required days or weeks for the same journey. I want all personnel to rotate through 4-hour rest periods, Chen ordered. Nobody comes back on duty without at least 3 hours of sleep. We'll need everyone sharp when we engage. Dr. Wei Zong approached her station. Captain, I've been analyzing the shield configurations. I think we've been approaching this from the wrong angle. Chen raised an eyebrow. Explain. We've been trying to create a continuous defensive bubble, but the power requirements are unsustainable. What if instead we create a directional shield? We focus our defense on the side facing the enemy, allowing us to maintain higher intensity with the same power draw, leaving our flanks and rear more vulnerable, Chen noted. Zhang nodded. Yes, but if we're maneuvering correctly, we can keep our strongest shields facing the greatest threat. Chen considered this. How quickly can you reconfigure the system? 6 hours, maybe 7. Do it, Chen decided. and pull anyone you need from non-essential systems to help. Colonel Jackson, adjust tactical plans to account for directional shielding. As Zhang hurried back to his station, Chen opened a ship-wide channel. This is Captain Chen. We are approximately 15 hours from potential engagement with the hegemony fleet. I won't sugarcoat our situation. We are outgunned, outmatched, and likely facing overwhelming odds. She paused, choosing her next words carefully. But what we lack in numbers, we make up for in determination. Every person aboard this ship represents the pinnacle of human capability. You are the best scientists, engineers, and warriors Earth has to offer. And more importantly, you understand what we're fighting for. The hegemony believes we will surrender rather than face extinction. They have fundamentally misunderstood what it means to be human. We do not bow to tyrants. We do not accept ultimatums. When backed into a corner, we don't cower. We fight with everything we have. Whatever happens when we engage the enemy, know this: Earth will remember what we do here. The Retribution may be humanity's first starship designed for war, but this mission will ensure it won't be our last. Chen out. 12 hours into their journey, Dr. Zhang's team completed the shield reconfiguration and began testing. Chen observed from a monitoring station as they fired a low-powered laser at the ship's forward section. Deflection at 92%, reported one of Zhang's assistants. Power draw within sustainable limits. Zhang allowed himself a small smile. We've essentially created an energy wedge in front of the ship. The denser the incoming fire, the more effectively it will be dispersed. What about multiple angles of attack? Chen asked. We can shift the shield's focal point within approximately 1.2 seconds, Zhang explained. Not instantaneous, but fast enough for most combat scenarios. Chen nodded. Good work, Doctor. This gives us. Captain to the bridge immediately. Rodriguez's voice cut through the intercom. His usual composure shattered. Chen ran, Zhang close behind her. When they arrived, Rodriguez was hunched over his console, his face pale. Report, Chen commanded. 2 hegemony vessels have broken formation and are on an intercept course with Mars. They'll beat us there by almost 3 hours. Chen's mind raced. They must have detected our lunar launch despite our precautions. How did they track us? Patel spoke up from his station. The quantum drive leaves a subtle distortion in space-time. If they were looking for it specifically, doesn't matter now, Chen decided. Helm, increase acceleration to maximum sustainable levels. We need to reach Mars before they have time to prepare a proper ambush. The helmsman, Lieutenant Ayako Tanaka, looked concerned. That will put significant stress on the untested drive systems, Captain. Noted. Do it anyway. The ship surged forward, the vibration of the engines changing pitch as they pushed beyond recommended limits. Patel winced audibly, but said nothing. All personnel, battle stations, Chen ordered over the ship-wide comm. This is not a drill. Prepare for potential engagement in under 2 hours. As the crew rushed to their positions, Chen gathered her senior officers. We've lost the advantage of surprise, but we can still control the battlefield. Here's what we're going to do. She brought up a holographic display of Mars. We'll use Phobos as cover for our approach. The hegemony ships will be expecting us to come in from Earth's direction, so we'll swing wide around the planet's far side and approach from the opposite vector. Colonel Jackson, I want all weapons fully charged and ready to fire the moment we clear Phobos. Understood, Captain. Dr. Zhang, focus shield strength on our ventral section. We'll come in below them, presenting the smallest possible target profile while maximizing our offensive capability. Zhang nodded. The directional shields should give us approximately 8 minutes of full protection under concentrated fire before power reserves are compromised. 8 minutes, Chen repeated. Then we'll have to make every second count. As the officers dispersed to their stations, Admiral Ward approached Chen. Though technically part of the mission as an observer, she had stayed mostly in the background, allowing Chen full operational command. Bold strategy, Ward commented. Coming in underneath them. It's where they'll least expect us, Chen replied. Hegemony tactics emphasize overwhelming force from optimal firing positions. They don't think like guerrilla fighters, but we do. Ward studied her old friend's face. You think we can win this? Chen's expression remained neutral. I think we can hurt them badly enough that they'll reconsider whether subjugating Earth is worth the cost. 90 minutes later, the Retribution approached the orbit of Phobos, Mars's larger moon. The ship's engines cut to minimal power, using the moon's gravity and momentum to swing them into position, while minimizing their energy signature. Status of hegemony vessels? Chen asked. They've established orbit around Mars, Rodriguez reported. Standard patrol formation. They appear to be scanning the approach vectors from Earth. They still don't know exactly where we are, Chen noted with satisfaction. Weapons status. All particle cannons charged and ready, Jackson confirmed. Targeting systems locked on the nearest hegemony vessel. Shields. Directional field at maximum intensity, focused on ventral quadrant as ordered, Jean reported. Chen took a deep breath. This was it. Humanity's first interstellar battle, with the future of Earth hanging in the balance. Helm, on my mark, full power to engines. Bring us out from behind Phobos on the plotted course. She counted down silently, watching the tactical display. Mark. The Retribution surged forward, breaking cover and accelerating toward the unsuspecting hegemony vessels. For 3 crucial seconds, the enemy ships didn't react. 3 seconds that Chen had counted on. Fire main cannons, she ordered. The ship shuddered as the particle beams lanced out, crossing the distance to the nearest hegemony vessel in less than a second. The alien ship's shields flared brilliantly as they absorbed the initial impact, but the sustained barrage quickly overwhelmed them. The beams cut through the hull, and secondary explosions blossomed along the vessel's length. Direct hit, Jackson called out. Enemy ship's power core is destabilizing. Target the second vessel, Chen commanded. Helm, evasive pattern delta. They're about to. The bridge rocked violently as energy beams from the second hegemony ship slammed into the Retribution's shields. Shields holding at 86%, Jean reported. 3 minutes until power reserves are impacted. The damaged hegemony vessel exploded spectacularly, sending debris cascading across the Martian orbit. Chen allowed herself a moment of satisfaction before refocusing on the battle. Continue evasive maneuvers. Fire when you have a clear shot. The Retribution danced through space, its maneuverability surprising for its size. The second hegemony ship fired continuously, but most shots glanced off the angled shields or missed entirely as Tanaka executed a series of unpredictable course changes. Their targeting algorithms are too predictive, Chen noted. They're anticipating where we should be based on conventional physics, not where we actually are. Exploit that, Lieutenant Tanaka. Yes, Captain. The Retribution suddenly flipped end over end, using its ventral thrusters to execute a maneuver that would have been impossible without the inertial dampening fields. The move brought all forward cannons to bear on the enemy vessel. Fire everything, Chen ordered. The combined firepower of the Retribution's main weapons struck the hegemony ship before it could adjust its shields. The alien vessel's port side crumpled under the assault, atmosphere venting into space as its hull breached in multiple locations. They're losing power, Jackson reported. Their weapons are offline. Hold fire, Chen commanded. Communications, broadcast on all frequencies, all languages. Rodriguez looked up in surprise. Captain. Do it. I want to send a message. Once the channel was open, Chen spoke clearly and deliberately. Hegemony vessel, this is Captain Ilara Chen of the Earth warship Retribution. Your companion ship has been destroyed, and your vessel is critically damaged. Withdraw from Mars orbit immediately, or we will finish what we started. For several tense seconds, there was no response. Then the damaged alien ship's engines flared to life. It began a slow, labored retreat from Mars. They're withdrawing, Captain, Rodriguez confirmed, surprise evident in his voice. A cheer went up from the bridge crew, but Chen silenced it with a raised hand. This was just the advance force. The main fleet is still coming, and now they know we can fight. She turned to Admiral Ward. How long before they reach us? Ward checked the long-range sensors. At their current speed, less than 5 hours. Chen nodded grimly. Then we have 5 hours to prepare for round 2. And this time, they'll be ready for us. She addressed the bridge crew. Well done, everyone. But remember, we've only bloodied their nose. The real fight is still ahead. As damage reports came in and repair crews scrambled to address the Retribution's minor battle damage, Chen studied the tactical displays. They had won their first engagement, but at best, they had only bought Earth a little more time. The hegemony wouldn't underestimate humans again. Chen activated the ship-wide comm once more. This is the captain. We've won our first battle against the hegemony, but 7 more ships are on their way, including their command vessel. They will arrive in approximately 5 hours. She paused, letting the information sink in. I know many of you are wondering if we should return to Earth with news of our victory. The answer is no. We are humanity's only line of defense, and we will stand our ground here at Mars. The next engagement will be more difficult. The enemy will be prepared, but so will we. All departments begin immediate repairs and preparations. We've shown what humans can do when pushed to the brink. Now let's show them what we can do when we've had time to get ready. Chen out. As the crew hurried to their tasks with renewed determination, Chen turned to Ward. Send a tight beam transmission to Earth. Tell them what happened here. Tell them we're not done fighting yet. Ward nodded, her eyes reflecting a mixture of pride and worry. What's your plan for 7 ships, Ilara? Chen's expression hardened, the same as it's always been. Hit them where they least expect it, with everything we've got. Defiance among the stars. The 5 hours before the hegemony fleet's arrival passed in a blur of activity. Every system on the Retribution was checked, recalibrated, and optimized. The damaged sections were sealed or rerouted. The weapons were recharged, and the shields reconfigured based on data from their first engagement. Captain Chen hadn't left the bridge, subsisting on coffee and protein bars as she refined their battle strategy. The destroyed hegemony vessel and the damaged one limping back to the main fleet had provided valuable tactical information about their enemy's capabilities and weaknesses. Their hulls are composed of some kind of metal-ceramic composite, Dr. Paddle explained, examining the sensor data. Stronger than anything we have on Earth, but brittle when hit with concentrated energy at precisely the right frequency. Can we adjust our weapons to target that vulnerability? Chen asked. Colonel Jackson nodded. Already done, Captain. Our particle cannons should be 23% more effective in the next engagement. Chen studied the tactical display showing the approaching hegemony fleet. 7 vessels arranged in a classic spearhead formation, with the massive command ship protected at the center. They're not taking any chances this time, Ward observed. No, Chen agreed, but their formation is predictable. They value order and symmetry over adaptability. She turned to Dr. Zhang. How are the shields holding up? We've managed to improve efficiency by another 12%, he reported, and we've created a rotating frequency modulation that should make it harder for them to calibrate their weapons against us. Chen nodded approvingly. Good work, all of you. She activated the ship-wide comm. All hands, this is the captain. The hegemony fleet will arrive in 30 minutes. What we do here today will be remembered as long as humans exist. No matter what happens, know that you've already made history. The first humans to fight an interstellar battle. The first to defeat an alien warship. She paused, then continued with quiet intensity. They still don't understand what they're facing. The hegemony believes that superior technology guarantees victory. But wars aren't won by technology alone. They're won by courage, creativity, and the unwillingness to surrender even when the odds seem impossible. Those are human specialties. Battle stations in 20 minutes. Chen out. As the crew made their final preparations, Lieutenant Rodriguez approached Chen's station. Captain, I've been analyzing the hegemony's communication patterns from our first engagement. There's something unusual. Chen raised an eyebrow. Go on. Their ships communicate using quantum entanglement, instantaneous, impossible to intercept. But there's a secondary communication channel, standard radio frequencies with an unusual encryption. Why use both? Chen wondered. Rodriguez looked excited. That's just it. I don't think they're talking to each other. I think they're communicating with someone else. The implication hung in the air for a moment before Admiral Ward voiced it. Other species, subject races within the hegemony. Chen's mind raced with possibilities. Can you break the encryption? Rodriguez shook his head. Not in the time we have left. But I might be able to jam it, or even broadcast our own message on the same frequency. Do it, Chen ordered. Focus on jamming for now, but prepare a message in as many languages as our database contains. Something simple. Earth fights back, or resistance is possible. As Rodriguez hurried back to his station, Chen turned to Ward. If the hegemony has subject species, they might not all be willing servants. Ward nodded. Potential allies, or at least others who might be inspired to resist if we show it's possible, Chen amended. But first, we have to survive this engagement. 20 minutes later, the hegemony fleet appeared at the edge of Mars' orbit. Their formation was perfect, each ship maintaining precise distance from the others as they advanced. All hands, battle stations, Chen ordered calmly. Helm, take us into position behind Deimos. The Retribution moved into position, using Mars's smaller moon for cover. Chen had no illusions about surprising the enemy this time. They would be detected, but Deimos would provide some protection against long-range scans and give them a slight gravitational advantage for maneuverability. They're scanning the area, Rodriguez reported. Multiple frequencies, extremely detailed. They'll find us within minutes. Let them look, Chen replied. We're not hiding. We're waiting. Status of the jamming program. Ready to activate, Captain. It should disrupt their secondary communications for approximately 12 minutes before their systems adapt. Weapons. All systems charged and ready, Jackson confirmed. Shields. Directional field at maximum strength, John reported. Ready to reorient as needed. Chen nodded, satisfied. On my mark, Lieutenant Tanaka, bring us out from behind Deimos at full acceleration. Colonel Jackson, target the nearest escort vessel and fire all forward cannons as soon as we clear the moon. Lieutenant Rodriguez, activate jamming as we engage. She took a deep breath, her hands steady on the arms of her command chair. Mark. The Retribution burst from behind Deimos, engines flaring as it accelerated toward the hegemony fleet. Particle beams lanced out from its forward cannons, striking the nearest enemy vessel before it could fully raise its shields. The alien ship listed to one side, trailing atmosphere and debris. Direct hit, Jackson called out. Their forward weapons array is disabled. Enemy fleet is responding, Rodriguez reported. They're breaking formation to surround us, and jamming successful. Their secondary communications are down. The bridge rocked as multiple energy beams struck the Retribution's shields. Shields holding at 82%, Zhang announced. 6 minutes at this intensity. Helm, evasive pattern Omega, Chen ordered. Weapons, target the damaged vessel again. Finish it. The Retribution pivoted sharply, its main cannons firing in a coordinated sequence that overwhelmed the damaged hegemony ship's weakened defenses. The alien vessel broke apart, secondary explosions cascading along its length as its power core detonated. 2 down, 6 to go, Chen murmured. Not bad odds. But the hegemony wasn't making the same mistakes twice. The remaining ships spread out, approaching from multiple angles to divide the Retribution's defensive capabilities. They're trying to split our shield coverage, Zhang warned. I can't maintain maximum protection on all vectors. Focus on the heaviest incoming fire, Chen instructed. Helm, keep us moving. Don't let them predict our course. The ship shuddered as multiple hits struck their weakened rear shields. Hull breach on Deck 12. Someone called out. Emergency bulkheads deployed. Damage control teams responding, Paddle reported. Chen studied the tactical display, watching the hegemony vessel's movement patterns. They were disciplined, coordinated, but still somewhat predictable. And most importantly, they were focused entirely on the retribution. New course, she ordered suddenly. Take us directly toward the command ship, maximum acceleration. Ward looked alarmed. That's suicide. Their combined firepower will cut through our shields before we get halfway there. That's what they'll expect us to think, Chen replied. But watch what happens. As the retribution changed course, driving straight toward the heart of the hegemony formation, the enemy vessels hesitated, their perfect coordination momentarily disrupted. They're repositioning to protect the command ship, Jackson observed. And in doing so, they're creating a funnel, Chen pointed out. Helm, full power to engines. Weapons, prepare to fire a spread along these coordinates. She marked several points on the tactical display. Dr. Zhang, focus all shield power forward. We're going to punch right through their line. The retribution accelerated, its engines straining as it drove toward the hegemony fleet. Enemy fire intensified, hammering against the ship's forward shields.